Hello, everyone. This is Eve Masters. I will be reading from Close Friends, the first edition, chapter 4, The Midnight Masquerade. That night. Good evening. Welcome to the Midnight Masquerade. Our butler, Daniel Nix, greets everyone at the door. His second, Peter Miller, is checking the invitations at the ballroom door. It's a really great turnout, but it is every year. I like to see the other immortals from the far corners of the earth gathered in one place. Unlike our parents, though, they actually call themselves vampires. But unlike the Dresida, they are, how you say, more civilized. All of them are from different countries and cultures, but they sparingly dress in their ethnic cultural garb. It's all suits, casual, business casual. A lot of Tom Ford, Versace, Alexander McQueen, Gucci, Giovanni, Armani. Basically, they dress like we do, with their own styles similar to modern humans. I mentioned them before, but I will go into more detail now. I guess, if you think about it, the immortal species has three distinct types. The immortals can reproduce similar to other mammals on this planet, which are limited to the 6 families. The vampires that are spread out all over the world. We turned them, and they are as civilized as us, yet drink blood like an addiction. And the Dresida that are uncivilized brutes that are highly rebellious, gluttonous blood drinkers that like turning humans in or killing them, without any regards to the rules of the First Council. And believe it or not, none of the hybrids are allergic to the sun, silver, steaks, or any of that other dribble. Immortality in its purest form, with one minor exception. Ah, Devako, you look more like your mother every time that I see you, Aunt Artemis Stropolis says to me as she walks up, grabbing me by both hands and pulling me in for the both cheeks kiss exchange. I have yet to pull my gold bordered black mask with dove feathers and gold embroidery over the top half of my face. Thank you, Aunt Artemis, I smile brightly. Artemis, it is always a pleasure to see you at our events. My mama greets her pleasantly, dressed in a blue Spanish ball gown with black floral taffeta ruffled around the waist, and black lace ruffles and a princess cut across the bust. And it is a pleasure to always be invited, Mistress Tadanya, she says graciously. From the eavesdropping that I do from time to time on the adults, Aunt Artemis is one of the 3 representatives of the vampire community on the First Council. Her eyes are as black as the sea, and her skin is the color of the sand, deep in the Moroccan desert. The ball is so amazing. I love the acrobats that David found. They are beautiful, swinging from slim nylon curtains that are hanging from the ceiling and wrapping themselves in them above our heads. The magnificent cakes that Aunt Essie and Aunt Wendy made with the help of the kitchen cooks are like drops of Eden in your mouth. Everyone is merry, dancing with one another, circling each other in a waltz, even though the choice of music is that of heavy metal played by corn. Many of us, including the adults, like groups like them. Sure, Lucian and his father play the piano. Adam and I play the violin. And the list goes on of the classical instruments that we all play and the classical music that many of us also enjoy. But our balls and parties are still filled with the musical sounds of these groups, as our parents pay top dollar to have them play. After waltzing for the first half of the ball, we break out into random dancing, jumping around wildly. Some of the men and women mosh pit for a few, while others are allowed to get just a bit crazy with their powers. It's a totally wild and exciting weekend. We start the party before All Hallows Eve and end it at twilight on Halloween, with the adults going off to the theater to watch. From what Aunt Olivia secretly told me, it is a very enthralling and erotic show. That's as much as I can ever get out of her. I try to ask her every year throughout the course of the weekend that all of us stay in the manor. But she only tells me that and refuses to budge. I think this time I will try to get it out of Uncle Michael. He is known for having a very loose tongue. As the first night winds down and the adults begin to make their way to the theater for night one, I quickly seek out Uncle Michael, whom is gabbing it up with Uncle Sayin. I tug on his bellowed right sleeve to get his attention, but Uncle Sayin sees me first. As Uncle Michael turns to see me, a big smile appears on his face. Grabbing me up by the waist, he hugs me tightly. Devako, how is my favorite niece? His voice is brash and booming somewhat. If you were to only hear his voice, you would think that he was a middle-aged man, but in fact, he is very young in appearance. He could not have been any more than 17 or 18 when he was turned. He looks very much like Uncle DeMarcio, save a small beauty mark underneath the corner of his left eye and his paper-thin lips. You would think that they were twins if you didn't know any better. Even with his toned muscle build, it's still hard to believe that such a powerful voice could emanate from someone such as him. Hi, Uncle Michael, I say, looking down at him, as he always lifts me above his head as his way of hugging me. Uncle Sayin says to him that he will save a seat for him as he walks steadily to catch up to the retreating crowd of adults. Uncle, I want to ask you something. I was trying to catch my breath as he gently sets me back on my feet. Of course, dear Devako. Ask me anything. He replies kindly, still with that big smile on his face. What do all of you watch in the theater? I come in closer. He bellows a laugh as he says, My dear, all that I may tell you is that it is quite the spectacle and most enjoyable.